Greetings. I am Genghis Khan, the founder and first emperor of the Mongol Empire. I was born in the 1160s on the grassy plains of Mongolia, where I grew up in a world of constant conflict and struggle. From a young age, I learned the importance of strength and determination, and I quickly rose through the ranks of my tribe to become a powerful leader. In 1206, I united the Mongol tribes under my leadership and became the first emperor of the Mongol Empire. I was determined to expand our empire and establish it as the dominant power in Asia. Our conquest of China was a major part of this goal, and it had significant long-term effects on our empire. Before we conquered China, we had already expanded our empire by conquering much of Central Asia. We saw China as a potential threat to our expansion and a land of great wealth and resources. The Jin dynasty ruled northern China at the time, and we saw them as a potential threat to our expansion. I will elaborate on the strategies we used, the challenges we faced, and the long-term effects of our conquest of China. Our conquest of China was a long and difficult campaign that required us to utilize a range of strategies and tactics to overcome the challenges we faced. As mentioned earlier, we knew that the Chinese had a strong defense system and that their walls were high and difficult to penetrate. To overcome this challenge, we adopted a patient and strategic approach, using our superior mobility and firepower to wear down their defenses over a long period. We employed a range of tactics to achieve this objective, including launching surprise attacks on key targets, conducting raids on enemy supply lines, and disrupting their communication networks. We also used psychological warfare, such as spreading rumors about our strength and tactics, to weaken the morale of the enemy forces. This psychological warfare was highly effective, as it caused confusion and mistrust among the Chinese soldiers, making them more vulnerable to our attacks. In addition to psychological tactics, we also relied heavily on our cavalry and archers to harry the Jin forces and prevent them from attacking us. Our mobility and skill in battle allowed us to outmaneuver the Jin forces, and we eventually captured the city of Zhongdu, modern-day Beijing, in 1215. We used innovative tactics, such as building siege engines, to breach the walls of the city. However, our greatest challenge in the conquest of China was the geography of the country. The vast size of China and its rugged terrain made it difficult to move our forces quickly and efficiently. We had to adapt our tactics and strategies continually to navigate the challenging terrain and maintain our supply lines. For instance, we established a system of relay stations to ensure that our troops could travel long distances quickly and efficiently. Another significant challenge we faced was the resistance we encountered from the Chinese people and officials. Many Chinese saw us as barbarians and were not willing to accept our rule. To win them over, we had to use a combination of force and diplomacy to maintain order and stability in the territories we conquered. We established a system of administration that took into account the local customs and traditions and appointed Chinese officials to key administrative positions. The Southern Song dynasty ruled southern China, and they were determined to resist our advances and launched several counterattacks against us. We had to launch several more campaigns over the next decade, each one more difficult and costly than the last. But we were determined to conquer all of China and establish the Mongol Empire as the dominant power in the region. Despite the challenges we faced, we were ultimately successful in our conquest of China. Our victory over the Jin dynasty established the Mongol Empire as the dominant power in Asia and paved the way for further expansion and conquest. We left a lasting legacy in China, including the establishment of a centralized government, the promotion of trade and commerce, and the spread of our culture and traditions. Our conquest of China was not without its flaws, but it was a pivotal moment in the history of the Mongol Empire, and it laid the foundation for further growth and expansion in the region. As the Mongol Empire expanded, we were faced with the challenge of governing diverse territories with different cultures and traditions. In China, we recognized the importance of preserving Chinese customs and traditions, as we understood that this would help to maintain stability and reduce resistance to our rule. To achieve this objective, we adopted a policy of cultural integration, whereby we tried to balance the imposition of Mongol laws and customs with the preservation of Chinese customs and traditions. We allowed the Chinese to continue practicing their religions and customs while making sure they followed our laws and regulations. Overall, our policy of cultural integration in China was one of the key factors that contributed to our success in the region. By preserving Chinese customs and traditions and integrating ourselves into Chinese society, we were able to reduce resistance to our rule and maintain stability in the territories we conquered. This approach helped to lay the foundation for the long-term success of the Mongol Empire in China and ensured that our legacy would endure for centuries to come. Our conquest of China had a significant impact on the history of the Mongol Empire in China. We established the Mongol Empire as the dominant power in Asia and paved the way for further expansion and conquest. Our victory over the Jin dynasty in 1234 marked the beginning of a new era of prosperity and growth. To maintain order and stability in the territories we conquered, we appointed Chinese officials to administrative positions and established a system of governance that took into account the local customs and traditions. We also implemented strict laws and regulations to prevent rebellion or unrest. We encouraged trade and commerce in China by establishing a safe and secure trade route known as the Silk Road. This had a significant impact on the economy and society, as it allowed for the exchange of goods and ideas between China and other regions. Religion and ideology played a significant role in our conquest of China. We believed that it was our divine mandate to conquer and rule over other regions, and this belief helped us to justify our actions to ourselves and to our followers. However, we also recognized the importance of religious tolerance and allowed the Chinese to practice their religions and customs. My relationship with the Chinese people and officials was complex. While there were instances of hostility and resistance, we also had periods of cooperation and mutual benefit. We recognized the value of Chinese culture and traditions and tried to preserve them as much as possible. Looking back on my conquest of China, I see our greatest successes as establishing the Mongol Empire as the dominant power in Asia and fostering trade and commerce between China and other regions. However, our greatest failure was perhaps our inability to fully integrate with the Chinese culture and society and preserve their traditions and customs. In conclusion, the conquest of China was a long and difficult campaign that had a significant impact on the history of the Mongol Empire and China. Our victory over the Jin dynasty established the Mongol Empire as the dominant power in Asia and paved the way for further expansion and conquest. Our legacy is still felt today, and I am proud of what we accomplished during our rule. We faced significant challenges, both in terms of geography and resistance from the Chinese people, but we persevered through our superior strategy, strength, and determination. Our conquest of China was not without its flaws, but it was a pivotal moment in the history of the Mongol Empire, and it laid the foundation for further growth and expansion in the region.